Oh, I had to take that wig off. Like, it was too much. What is up, Voodoo Tribe? It is your girl Naja, and I am back with another video. This video is going to be a tribe tea, a less depressing tribe tea, because that last one was like really heavy. So yeah, if you guys don't know what tribe tea is and you're new to this channel, it's basically when you guys send me in your story times and we share it with the rest of the tribe and just, you know, have a kiki, sip some wine, you know, and just let me go get my cup. Hold on. I have my little like hottie toddy thing because I'm still kind of congested. I kind of got over my sickness, but I just sound like a little congested still, so I made myself like a little hottie toddy. Another side note, I do have a vlogging channel. I'm going to like start putting the links in my description in case you guys haven't already noticed, I'm just gonna let you guys know. So check out the link in the description if you want to get a more personal, in-depth version of Naja and see what I do in my day-to-day life. And it may be boring, but I know that some people actually like vlogging, so I just decided to make a vlogging channel for you guys. So yeah, go check it out whenever you want to. Ooh, my hair itch. I might have to wash my hair soon. I'm just ready for it to get cold so that I could just braid my hair down and then actually like wear my wigs, and then I won't be hot. Because I don't know about you guys, but like wearing wigs, it makes me hot. Like that's why I had to take it off. I'm over here sweating and shit. Okay, so I got this email and it says, I got my abusive ex robbed and he called me up crying. Long but good revenge story. Girl, I'm all about that revenge, you know. Get your teacups, get your wine glasses, or get your Capri Suns if you're underage, because we're about to get into it. Hi Naja, my name is Nikki. I just watched my first tribe tea video and I figured I got some crazy stories too, so why not share with you? If you want to post it in a video, that's fine. If not, that's fine too. Girl, are you in the video? Okay. I'm not entirely sure how to start this story since it begins a few years back, but I can sort of run through all the main points. I was young at the time all this happened, and I don't get caught up in any of that drama anymore since I got my ex out of my life for good. For real. Blocked him on everything, haven't talked to him in years now. That's what's up, girl. Prosper. Thrive and prosper out here. So we'll call my ex Skater. I haven't seen all of your story times yet, so I hope that's an okay name. Yeah, I haven't used that name. It's cool. It's just when you guys use zodiac signs, like then it gets all confusing and shit because I use repetitive names of certain zodiac signs. That's the only time it gets confusing. Anyways, Skater was a dude I met through some of my stoner friends back in the day, and from the get-go there were red flags. We had started seeing each other like every other day or so for about a month. And at this time in my life, I was just sort of running around being promiscuous. I gotta be honest, I was young and in foster care and shit, so I was sort of acting out a lot and just angry at the world and just really immature. And I was sort of just addicted to feeling good because I just felt so awful on the inside all the time. That doesn't excuse things I've done, but like I'm just putting that out there. Well, I had met Skater at a time in my life where I was wanting to change. I was way too young to even consider settling down, but like in my immature brain at this time, that's what I really thought I was going to do. So I was around 14 when we met. I'm 21 now. Hey, me too, girl, 21. And Skater was the first and only person I dated and that would do nice shit for me. He bought me a necklace and would buy me weed and stuff, and he seemed really nice, unlike most of the idiots I was fucking with at that time. I remember after this month we spent together, he told me he loved me and I didn't say it back. I usually would and just be lying on my ass because usually all I care about is if we're going to fuck or not. I was exposed to a shitty, messed up life at a very young age, so I hope I don't get super judged for that. We don't judge here. We really don't. Like, I be shutting down a lot of stuff because I know there's a lot of YouTubers that are all like, oh, I spread positivity, and then you go in their comments and like people are bashing each other. Like, I don't fuck with that shit. Like, I always intervene. I'm very active in my comments. Like, I'm not gonna let anybody bash you. If it's not constructive criticism, no, then I don't want it on the fucking channel. Like, well, Skater had said he loved me and I felt nothing for him at that time. And I remember going home that night thinking like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I care about this dude who clearly cares about me? And long story short, eventually I decided I'd try to fall in love with him, and this is basically what put me through a loop. You should never try to fall in love. Like, you're either in love or you're not. Like, I don't know. Okay, so I didn't say it back right away, but Skater and I were still spending time together. I think around the 2nd month of dating is when I finally decided I could tell him, even though I still wasn't sure. Now he pressured me a lot about it, would keep buying me things and saying, look at all the things I do for you. I went way over here to get this and that for you, which were all nice things, but things I never asked for. Red flag, but it gets worse. So back in this day, I was a little badass, but I kept my home life very much separate from my school life. Yeah, I was popular, but only popular with everyone because I loved everyone for the most part, and I had a reputation for fighting people's bullies and stuff, and it sort of got me a rep in school, but I was still cool with my teachers and stuff. Though everyone at school did not know what I did after school for real. I kept my smoking a secret that I only trusted 1 or 2 friends I went to school with to know, and the rest of my smoking friends were older than me and in high school or like homeless or dropouts basically. So that's so weird because that's exactly how I was, but instead that was when I was like 16, 17. Like all of my friends were fucking losers that were like grown ass adults that were like dropouts and shit, and like I wouldn't really fuck with anybody from my high school, but if I did, you would never know that I was like doing drugs or anything like that because I was hanging out with grown ass losers outside of school. And that's just, and you were only 14 at this time, and then now that you're 21, isn't it weird to like look back and be like, damn, I'm 21. Like, I would never go and smoke weed with a fucking 14-year-old, and those losers back then were. Like, isn't that weird? Anyway, back to the story. So anyway, there was this girl at my school, a grade younger than me, and I was only acquainted with her, but we were cool. I was a little annoyed that people would call her my twin, but like that's basically how I met her, is because so many people called us twins that eventually we were introduced. She was a short Hispanic girl with shoulder-length black hair, and I was a short Navajo tan girl with shoulder-length black hair, and we both had piercings and wore like band tees and shit. Well, one day this girl, we'll call her Chris. So Chris showed up at my dealer's house one day, and I was surprised to see her there, but I figured because she's there, she's cool, whatever. I let her know not to tell anyone, and I could tell she was like trying to impress me, like just to, she was like a puppy to me, like, oh no way, it's cool, we're cool, we should totally hang out and smoke, and I'll buy and we can just smoke my weed. I wasn't on that, but was just like, yeah, sometime, not today. Well, she grabs her shit and I walked down to the parking lot with her because I got my shit too, and we were going our separate ways. So we walked out and I see Skater had showed up, and I'm honestly surprised to see him. So I smiled, and as I walk up to hug him, I could feel like he was stiff and he didn't really want to say hi or hug me back or anything. Oh my God, don't tell me that this dude is cheating on you with this girl that looks exactly like you. That would piss me the fuck off. Like, that would piss me off if like I got cheated on with somebody that looked like exactly like me, because then it's like, really like, oh my God, I bet you that's what's gonna happen. I bet you, because he's acting all weird and shit. I bet you. I look up at him, he's taller than me, and I just see his eyes looking completely past me, and I let go of him and take a step back, kind of like thrown off. He's looking at Chris. Chris comes up, grabs his hand, and in her innocent puppy way was like, oh, I didn't know you knew Skater. Yeah, so by this point, Skater and I had already like fucked, and I'm just dumbfounded, like, yeah, I know Skater. Now, normally I'm confrontational as fuck too, but like, sometimes there's shit that happens to me and I get so shocked that I just can't do anything. I mean, at that point, if anything, I would have just, like, if I were you in that situation, I would just be like, oh yeah, I know him. Anyway, bye. And then like I would have never talked to him again, or that girl. I don't know, maybe I would talk to that girl after like I got over it, but him, fuck that, no. So yeah, they both left. Damn, and he left with her? Damn, that's that hurt. Skater looking like he saw a fucking ghost the whole time, didn't for real say goodbye, whatever. My dumbass eye roll. He texted me later on trying to explain himself and say shit like, we were gonna break up, she don't want to do anything anyway, she's too young, yada yada yada. But my stupid ass believed all that. I mean, he did eventually break up with her for me, but I was already like, now there's this resentment between us. Okay, so that's how we began. During our time together, I kept staying out past curfew, which if you do that in foster care, you get the cops called on you and you get in trouble for AWOL or whatever. I didn't care. I'd come home at like 6 a.m. sometimes and just let my foster mom yell at me, and I'd be like, okay, are you done? I'm going to bed. Well, because I kept getting in trouble and getting high and stuff, she told me I had 1 month to pass the drug screen, and I sort of didn't care Thought she was bluffing type shit. I didn't pass. Jobs and family services put me back in. I'm just going to call it an orphanage. It was an orphanage a long time ago and still had that in the name, but I didn't want to put the facility out there. I had been there before and it was hell on earth. The people in that place are probably people that'll forever be in institutions and never see the light of day, like legit demented ass children. That's another story, but basically Skater told me he'd visit me and all this stuff, and I can't really explain it to you, but like in a place like that, although I was only there for 3 months, it had felt like an eternity. Now when I got out and moved in with my mom, who fought to get custody of me again after 7 years of abandonment, I hit him up. Why? Shit, I don't even know. I guess I didn't have any friends for real. Where I was now living was downtown somewhere, the closest school being a mission away, so where I lived was ghetto. People were afraid of that place, no one my age around, just old pedophiles. So that was my new environment that I was working with. Damn, how do you know that only old pedophiles live there? Because technically, I don't know where anybody else lives, but like pedophiles aren't allowed to live by children or schools or anything like that. So the second you moved into the neighborhood, all them niggas would have had to move out or they would go to jail. By that time, I had learned that all of my friends from school weren't really there for me and had already like moved on and forgot about me for the most part. I was in a really bad place. Things at home got even worse because severe seclusion at the orphanage actually fucked me up mentally, and I was suddenly fearful of everything and everyone, and I became very anxious all the time. So I had not only felt really alone, but the city didn't really keep tabs on my mom and I. They just kind of threw us together after 7 years of being strangers and just basically said make it work and left. So my mom was still abusing drugs and shit, and at this point I had just stopped smoking weed because I felt like it was just something I did when I was out being a shitty person, so I didn't want anything to do with it anymore. Skater wanted to be back with me, didn't even give me an exclamation because I was only about 5 miles away in this facility, and he really had no fucking excuse for not seeing me, but I was so upset about being alone. There was this whole time that, oh, I just couldn't find it was somehow good enough in my brain. Now, just because I had stopped smoking didn't mean that Skater did. Well, duh, like, why would he stop smoking? Because you stopped smoking. I mean, it's not like y'all are, like, in a legit relationship. He actually picked up dealing, and I sort of just put up with it, even though I didn't approve. Even though I told him that's why I got locked up again. Even though I asked him not to do it, at least while he's with me. And he'd go and be like, oh, why are you trying to change me? I thought you loved me. If you loved me, you wouldn't be upset about it. I don't know. I feel like if you love somebody, you'd be willing to make a change to make them feel better and make them feel not pressured and stuff like that. Cause like, okay, for example, me and Daniel's relationship, he works at a rehab center, so he can't be smoking weed and doing all this stuff, and that was also like a big motivation for me to stop smoking weed. And I wasn't just gonna be that person like, oh well, fuck it, like I know I can smoke weed and still go to my job because I don't get drug tested and I just want to keep doing what I'm doing and hanging out with these lame ass people. Like, no, like if you really love somebody, you'll be willing to make those changes because it's not really a big fucking change, like, trust me. This story is long as fuck though. I'm like looking at it, I'm like, damn, I just want to get to the fucking point where they bust in his house. Skater fucked people over all the time, and he'd do it right in front of me. He would skimp people's weed, blah blah blah. People skimp weed all the time. Like, y'all really think that some of y'all niggas be looking out for you? Like, unless they just hand you the weed like in your hand, like you're getting skimped. I really don't give a fuck. Like, a bag weighs a certain amount, he might put some fucking stems in there. Like, you might think that your dealer is your nigga, but he really skimping you. So I really don't count that as fucking people over. And then if you're allowing yourself to get fucked over, like maybe you just need to get a medical card and go buy weed from a fucking professional because you don't know shit about weed. So whose fault is that? Like, really? But anyway, the people he fucked over would threaten me and come to my mom's apartment and shit and threaten me, saying, where's Skater? I better not find his ass here. And all kinds of shit. And if you're wondering where my mom is and all this, she should literally leave me all alone in the house for weeks at a time, going on drinking binges and passing out in ditches and shit. So I got paranoid. I had cut wooden planks to block all my windows and stuff. I still didn't have a phone, so anytime the door would be knocked on or someone was coming inside, I'd nearly piss myself. Like, yeah, I've been in fights before, but he was fucking around with some grown people who were much bigger than me. Like, I was only 15, so I was scared. I never knew if it was gonna be Skater coming through that door, or my drunken mom, or her crackhead boyfriend, or some shit. So does, like, Skater live with y'all now? Like, why is he just walking in your house? What the fuck? So this relationship is already full on. Like, he used to call me names and shit, and he'd come into my apartment telling me about how someone held him at gunpoint and stuff, and I'd start crying, and he'd tell me to shut the fuck up. What the fuck? Y'all were too young to be doing this. Like, this is like grown people fuckery. Like, this is fuckery that grown people get into. Like, what are y'all doing? So he had already isolated me and kept me where he wanted me. I was basically his bitch he kept in a kennel all day, and he'd come back home and I'd cry because I was worried and I had missed his stupid ass. Things started to change a little because my brother was also locked up for the same thing. And my brother, I'm gonna call him Bird, and I lived in the same foster home before all of this. And he was out doing similar things, but doing them separate from me. So he eventually got kicked out, but he instead went to a rehab. Why? Well, because the state simply just wanted to keep us separated, that's why. Well, they would send him to a rehab if he had like behavioral issues or if he was using drugs. So that's why the state would send him there. Something unknown to me when Skater and I started dating was that Bird and Skater were actually friends, and that worried me because Bird and I were close, but we never really understood each other and we'd argue a lot. So when Bird figured out I was seeing Skater, which wasn't even a secret at this point, he was like, why? Why do you have to be with my friend? Why? And we got into arguments about that. I thought it was weird how upset he was by it, but I'm going to jump ahead. So the reason Bird was upset at this point was because he knew that Skater was cheating on me. Damn, your brother knew. Your brother knew you were getting cheated on. That's that hurt, bruh. And eventually he sat me down and told me that we're going to have to break up because Skater is out here fucking with all kinds of girls and stuff. And I just remember feeling like so sick because for the longest time I felt like Skater was all I had, even though he treated me like shit. So I had planned to break up with Skater the next time he came over. And he came over, I took him outside because Bird was there and I didn't want us to argue in front of Bird and make shit awkward. So outside my mom's apartment was a breezeway, and the door in the building was on the side of the building after you come in, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you in a breezeway. I asked him, how dare you ever fucking come back here? I can't believe after all the bullshit you put me through, you expect me to deal with your ass cheating on me and all that, and I'm crying and stuff because I was really hurt. And he's just silent the whole time. He's got a fucking crazy detached stare to his face. And I was just like, you need to fucking leave, just go. And he just mumbled no. And I was getting pissed and I'm like, no, what the fuck do you mean no? Like, fucking leave or I'm gonna call the cops on your ass. Like, right, like, get the fuck out. You're not paying for shit. What the fuck? He just says no again. So I say, all right. And I start walking down the breezeway because there's a payphone about a block away. I get to the breezeway around the corner and I'm walking really fast, and he comes flying out of there like a bat out of hell and yanks me by my arm so hard I fell backward and hit my ass on the concrete. I'm shocked. He says, you're not fucking going anywhere. And then he drags me back down. There's a whole bunch of shit going on. Like, what is y'all doing? Y'all are living a full Lifetime movie at like 14, 15 years old. Like, this is like BET shit right now. So I told him if he doesn't fucking leave right now, I'm gonna be calling Bird. No one fucks with Bird or me for real. And after this I had the realization, but I'm getting to that. And he gets scared and he said, do I need to kick? And Bird comes out and he's like, do I need to kick his ass? What's going on? He touched you? And I just saying, no, he's leaving. You don't need to do shit. And that was that. Now fast forward a bit. I reconnected with my friend I mentioned earlier, the one that's my brother's best friend's brother. LMAO, sorry. I'm gonna call him Little, and his older brother who's Bird's friend Dog. Damn, there's a lot of people in this fucking story, but like I'm kind of hooked. Like I'm kind of in too deep at this point, okay? Little and Dog come over and they say they want some weed. They wish they had some money and shit. And I got this idea in my head. I did eventually start thinking like Skater treated me like his bitch for so long, and after being locked up and shit, it's like I forgot who I was. I never let anyone fuck with me and get away with it. It's so crazy how you say like you locked up like because you got put into the fucking orphanage, but I could see how that would be like locked up. But it's just interesting that that's the terms you use. But I've never been in your situation. I'm not judging you. I'm just saying it's interesting. So I told them Skater's whereabouts, what he did to me, how much cash he's got, and how to meet him. Told him he likes to flaunt his shit, so he'd purposely take his whole supply to meet people, and he didn't even carry a knife at this point. Of course, Little and Dog were on board, but Bird was trying to stay neutral through all of this. You best fucking bet Bird went though. He was in the getaway car waiting. I was about to say, that's your fucking brother. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I fought girls for my brother before. Like, I don't care. Like, that's your brother. He can't just be... I don't know. I'll probably do a story time about the time I fought this girl for my brother because she was like hitting on him, and like my brother doesn't hit girls, so I had to fight her. I'll tell a story time about that later, but back to the story. So you got this kid, Little, and he literally looks like a child. He's like 8, and he goes to Skater's house and convinces Skater to meet him outside because Skater's an idiot. I was right about him bringing his entire supply and money, and Little just described it as, I pushed his big ass over, punched him in the face once, and emptied his pockets and ran. He said he had heard Skater running behind him, but Little is, well, a little shit, and he's fucking fast. There's no catching that shit. So he hops in the car with Dog and Bird and with the money and the weed, and they come back to my place, stoked as fuck, and I'm just having a blast. I'm so happy they did it, and I'm laughing and just ecstatic. This asshole got what was coming to him. It gets better. Skater actually called me, and he calls me, and everyone is sitting down and lighting up, excluding me, and we're still out happy and shit. And I tell everyone it's him ringing me up, and everyone gets quiet, and I put that shit on speaker and just answer in the smuggest voice. He was like, hello, and all you hear is sobbing. And he said, did you and Little rob me? And I laughed because, like, I can't tell you how many times I've called him, like, on the verge of suicide sometimes and shit, and he'd say, don't fucking call me crying, and hang up on me. And he's done even worse by telling me to just kill myself and stuff. So I know it sounds super mean and cruel of me, but this asshole deserved it. So I threw those first words back in his face. I said, don't fucking call me crying and shit, and hung up, and he did not call back. So... So I'm super sorry the story is so long, but I really hope you took the time to read it. It felt really good to type it all and put it out there, to be honest. There's a lot of things I learned from all that, and like now that I'm older, I know like no matter how shitty you feel about yourself, no one deserves to be treated like a piece of shit, like the way he treated me. Partnerships are partnerships, 50-50. I could have made this into a video, but I suck at talking in videos, so I thought I'd just share it with you. Hope to see more of your story time soon, Naja, with a heart. Wow. That was crazy. That was super crazy. Like, I'm glad you got revenge. I'm glad you got revenge. I would have done it. I would have done it. I'm surprised he didn't clap back. Though, I'm really surprised he didn't clap back. Because a lot of people I know would have clapped back at y'all. Because the fact that he just knew who to call and he knew the person, like, I don't know. In my city, people would probably get shot for that. But shit, that was a good revenge story. I fuck with that story. Give this video a thumbs up if you like the story. And yeah, I hope to see some of you guys' tribe teas in my email soon, and I will see you guys next time. And I hope you guys are having a happy holiday season. Bye.